Our 2024-2025 season previews will continue on today with the Nashville Predators. First off, quick apology. I was out all last week on vacation and I couldn't make any videos. So that is completely my fault for not pre-recording like I probably should have. I do apologize for that, but we are going to be putting these out at a very rapid rate, hopefully 2 per day, starting tomorrow, or at least 1 per day. We're going to get them out before the start of the season, of course, but it does make things a little bit limited, so lots of content coming your way in terms of videos. But regardless, let's get in the wire here, the Nashville Predators. The Predators last year actually had a really good season, but the last couple of years have been pretty good for Nashville. In 21-22, they went 45-30-7 for 97 points. They were 16th in the NHL, and people forget, but they did get into the playoffs. They played the Colorado Avalanche, and they obviously lost in a 4-game sweep. But it was a good season from them. Inside of, the regular season, the playoffs weren't that great to them, but they still made it in. The following year, in 22-23, they struggled a little bit, and as a result, they missed the playoffs. They finished with a 42-32-8 record for 92 points. They were 18th in the NHL, so they were up there. They were competing with, I think it was Winnipeg, for that final wildcard spot at the time, but obviously they ended up not making the playoffs, which was definitely something they didn't want to go. They obviously didn't want to do, but obviously things went that way. They let go of John Hines. They bring in Andrew Brunette, and this team has a really good year. They go 47-30-5 for 99 points. They were 11th in the NHL last year, and they did lose in the first round of Vancouver, but I gotta say, I thought they put up a pretty good fight. I thought they fought hard a lot in that series. They were really only 1 goal away from forcing a Game 7. So, they worked hard against Vancouver. It showed, and this past offseason, they made a lot of moves. They decided to bring in a lot of guys. A lot of vets, for sure. A lot of guys who have been around the league a lot. But putting all these guys together, it really does look like a team that if they make a few more moves to the bottom 6 and maybe some defensive depth options, this team could win a Stanley Cup with this current roster, and I'm liking it. So the key arrivals, we'll start out with that before we get into the departures, because the arrivals is more important, or more entertaining. Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, Brady Shea, and Scott Wedgwood are your 4 key arrivals. So first off, Stamkos comes from Tampa, slots in probably immediately as your first line center, maybe second line if you value Ryan O'Reilly over him, but obviously he is a top 6 forward. Same with Marchessault. He could also come right in there and fit in well in the right wing slot as well. First line. So again, you get 2 guys that immediately mesh well together. Then you get Brady Shea, who probably is a first or second pairing defenseman at this rate. When we get into our lineups, you'll see. And then Wedgwood, good backup goaltender. So they did a lot of good things in this overall offseason. Obviously, there was a few issues with guys they departed from, like, for example, Ryan McDonough, Tyson Barrie, Anthony Beauvillier, Kevin Lankinen, Cody Glass, and it's not mentioned on there, but Yaroslav Askarov also left as well. But again, I think Nashville has done a really good job at building this team. A lot of those guys, like Beauvillier, was a deadline acquisition. They really wanted to trade Tyson Barrie. Lankinen was their backup goaltender, who obviously is still not signed. So maybe there's something going on there. And then Cody Glass, they had to move for cap reasons. So honestly, I think most of, if not all of the moves they made were pretty good moves. I mean, they got a pretty solid return for Askarov. They got back a first-round pick, a solid prospect in David Edstrom. And what people forget is that this team has 3 first-round picks this year. Their own, Tampa, and now Vegas's. So they could probably make moves with those picks too and improve at the trade deadline. So like Barry Trotz has done every single thing right. He's got to get a lot of credit. There's been a few moves where I've been like, yeah, that's a little bit questionable, but still, he's done a good job through the majority of his campaign so far as the Predators GM. So let's get into the projected lineup for the Nashville Predators. You start off with your top 6. You have Philip Forsberg, Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, Gustav Nyquist, Ryan O'Reilly, and Luke Evangelista. That is a terrific top 6. Without a doubt, that is a great top 6. That is a top 6 that is probably up there in one of the best in the league for sure. it is really, really solid. I think, too, if Nyquist and O'Reilly can perform like they did last year on those really cheap contracts but put up a lot of points, that makes it look even better for Nashville. But overall, it's a really good top six. The bottom six is okay. It's not something to scream at, but it is okay. You have Cole Smith, not Craig Smith. I always get that mixed up. Tommy Novak, Michael McCarron as your third line, then Yusuf Parson and Colton Sissons and Philip Tomasino as your fourth line. And then for some extras, you have Zachary Leheroux and Mark Jankowski. So the bottom six isn't bad. There's some youth in there. You got Tommy Novak, who's young, Parson, who's young, Tomasino, who's young. But it's not a bottom six that screams cup team to me. Like, there's a few guys that can score down there, but there isn't a lot of, like, grit and, kind of the depth you kind of need. So if this team goes out of the trade deadline and hypothetically they go out and get someone like I guess it's Tyler Toffoli example, probably not, maybe not Toffoli himself, but somebody along those lines, I think that could be a great move for them. And I think that really improves that bottom six, even if they get another top six forward too. Like if they get someone on that right wing side who could fit in well on Evangelista's end, you have a pretty good bottom six then. So overall, I think like the bottom six isn't that exciting right now, but in the future, it could be really solid. Your defense is also pretty exciting, but there's a few things I would definitely change. First pairing, Brady Shea and Roman Josi. Second pairing, Jeremy Lazone and Alex Carrier. I always get them mixed up. Third pairing, Spencer Stastny and Luke Shen. And then your extra defender is Dante Fabro. Don't be surprised if he gets traded. Just saying. Honestly, that's a pretty good blue line. Adding Shea on the back end, I think, makes things a lot better. Josi has a good D partner, actually a really good D partner alongside him now. The defense obviously gets deeper with that deal, but if they made a move at the trade deadline again, and went out and got someone who was a good depth, maybe not a first pairing defenseman, but like a second or third pairing guy, I think that could do wonders for the Nashville Predators for sure. So, again, there's a lot of room to improve, but this team is in a really good spot to finish in the top three in that division, not a wild card spot like last year, and they could obviously do some damage in the playoffs, honestly. They really could. Their goaltending, if it stays healthy, it's great. Jose Saros and Scott Wedgwood are your two goaltenders. I like that a lot. Saros, great starter, great goaltender, probably a top 10 goaltender in the league for sure. Definitely a top 10 goaltender in the league. Wedgwood, good backup. I thought he did pretty good last year with Dallas and Ottinger's replacement. So, overall, this team looks really good. They look really entertaining, and I think this is going to be a team to watch out for this year. However, there are a few things that I'm concerned with. Obviously, as I said, guys like the bottom six and maybe some defensive depth could be something that honestly doesn't hurt. But overall, this team is in a really good spot to go and contend and make the playoffs for sure. So going over to the Hockey News' yearbook, they have the Predators projected third in the Central Division. Their cup odds are 25-1. Their biggest X factor is, a year ago, Trotz challenged Forsberg to be Nashville's best player. The result was career highs in goals, assists, and points. Now Forsberg must be even better and mesh his game with the new high-profile newcomers rather than rely on them to carry the offense. So yeah, I think Forsberg last year, I've spoken a lot on some of my videos saying that I think Forsberg is actually really valuable to this Predators team. He should have honestly got heart votes. I believe he did, but he should have if he didn't. And I think that with these new adds of Stamkos and Marshall, because let's be honest, he kind of carried the offense last year. I mean, he meshed off of guys well with like Nyquist and O'Reilly, but bringing in two guys who we know can score, who we know can put up points in Stamkos and Marchessault, that could be huge benefits for Forsberg and the Predators as a whole. So this is a team that I really think is going to be exciting this year to watch. I'm definitely going to be tuning into a lot more Predators games. They will be talked about a lot more on the channel most likely because of the moves they made. They have done a terrific job. I can't say enough. I think this team can honestly go for a Stanley Cup if they make the right moves at the deadline and all things go right that I said in this video. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate it. Again, I'm sorry I got behind on these. It's just how it goes sometimes. I've had it happen plenty of times before on the channel, but we're going to keep trying to, get them going and obviously finish this off before the start of the season. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.